she said with a straight face. Seriously? You're jealous of my guy friends? While her phone kept buzzing on the nightstand, lighting up with their names over and over. My heart twisted. Not because of her words, but because I already knew the truth. She wasn't just texting friends. She was building her little secret life right under my nose. That night, instead of arguing, I simply looked at her and said calmly, "Not anymore." She smirked, thinking she'd won, but inside me something had shifted. She had no clue that in that very moment I'd already started planning the kind of payback that would turn her fake confidence into sheer panic. Before I go deeper into this insane story, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and share this video so more people can see how betrayal can flip into sweet revenge. Trust me, you don't want to miss how this ends. She thought I was weak, too emotional, and too dependent to ever call her out. What she didn't know was that every late-night text she sent, every excuse she made, and every time she rolled her eyes at me, I was watching and preparing. The day she discovered what I'd been secretly doing while she was distracted with her guy friends, her fake smile completely shattered. And that was just the beginning. The morning after her late-night texting session, Mia walked into the kitchen like nothing happened, humming as she scrolled on her phone. She didn't even look up when I placed her coffee on the counter. For her, this was routine. Stay up all night talking to other men, then act like a perfect wife in the daylight. But for me, that moment was fuel. Instead of confronting her, I smiled, kissed her on the forehead, and left for work. She thought I was being soft, maybe even blind, but she had no idea that I had already started setting things in motion. At work, I made a call to an old friend who specialized in cybersecurity. Together, we began digging into her late-night conversations. Every text, every photo, every fake excuse, it all started pouring into my hands like a flood. The truth was worse than I imagined. She wasn't just flirting, she was meeting two of them behind my back, and the arrogance in her messages made my blood boil. She bragged to her so-called friends that I was too naive to notice. Still, I kept my cool. That night, when she smiled at me and said she was heading out for a quick girls' night, I just nodded. "Have fun," I told her, my tone so casual she didn't sense the storm coming. But the truth? I was already tracking her phone. When her location popped up at a bar across town and not at her friend's house like she claimed, my suspicions turned into proof. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I quietly started moving my money, setting up a separate account, and gathering every bit of evidence I could. Each time she laughed at me for being too boring or ignored me to giggle at her buzzing phone, I reminded myself the louder she laughed, the harder her fall would be, because when I finally revealed what I had been doing behind her back, while she thought she was the one playing me, the game would flip in a way she'd never see coming. The next weekend, Mia suggested we host a small dinner with a few friends. I could see the glint in her eyes when she mentioned inviting some of her close guy friends too, as if daring me to react. I didn't. I agreed instantly, even offered to handle the grilling while she entertained. She thought I was weak, too scared to confront her, but inside I was laughing. Because I already had her text messages printed, every late-night call logged, and even pictures from her nights out. I was simply waiting for the right moment, the perfect stage. The night of the dinner, she dressed up more than usual. Tight dress, heavy perfume, phone clutched in her hand like it was glued there. While I was setting up the food outside, I overheard her giggling in the living room. "Don't worry, babe, he's clueless," she whispered into her phone. That sentence hit me like a punch, but I swallowed my rage. Patience was my weapon now. Her friends arrived loud and arrogant, joking with her in ways that made my stomach twist. One even slapped her on the back and teased, "So, Mia, which one of us gets the next turn tonight?" They laughed, but I caught the hidden truth in their smirks. She glanced at me quickly, checking if I'd heard. And when I pretended not to notice, she relaxed. I played the role of the obedient husband perfectly, serving drinks, cracking small jokes, letting everyone believe I was harmless. But every laugh they shared, every private glance only added more fuel to the fire. My plan wasn't about confrontation, it was about humiliation. They thought I was blind, but I was preparing a show they would never forget. As the evening went on, I subtly encouraged them to stay. pouring more drinks, acting friendlier than ever. Meanwhile, my hidden camera in the corner was capturing everything. Their touches, their inside jokes, their careless whispers. Evidence layered on top of the evidence I already had, and the best part, they didn't realize the stage they were performing on was mine. When the curtain finally dropped, their laughter would turn into shock, and Mia's smug smile would shatter in front of everyone. When the night dragged deeper, the atmosphere shifted from casual to reckless. Mia, emboldened by the wine and attention, leaned into one of her friends far closer than any married woman should. His hand brushed against hers on the couch, and she didn't even flinch. Instead, she smirked, tossing me a glance as if daring me to react. But I didn't. I chuckled at a joke someone made, my calmness throwing her off balance for a split second. She wasn't expecting me to be this composed. Inside, though, I was on fire. Every cell in my body screamed to call her out right there, to end the charade. But I knew better. Public humiliation works best when the evidence is undeniable, and the timing perfect. So I excused myself, slipped into my office, and opened the folder I had been building for weeks. Screenshots of her messages, voice recordings, and GPS logs, all neatly organized. I connected my laptop to the living room TV with a single click, ready to press play when the moment came. Back in the living room, her friends were loud, laughing about inside stories that excluded me. One of them, smirking, raised a glass and said, "To Mia, the best secret keeper I know." Their laughter rang like mockery in my ears. Mia laughed too, brushing it off, but I saw the nervous twitch in her fingers. She sensed danger but couldn't pinpoint where it was coming from. I poured myself a drink, watching her every move. She pulled out her phone under the table, texting furiously. My own phone buzzed in my pocket. I had set up an auto-forward system. Every message she sent or received appeared on my screen instantly. She was telling her special friend that I was clueless, that she'd sneak out later once I was asleep. I bit back a smile. She had no idea I was already 10 steps ahead. The crowd thought I was the fool, the pushover, the man everyone could laugh at. But soon, that same crowd would see who the real fool was, and who had been in control all along. As I clinked my glass to toast with them, my hand hovered near the remote. The moment of truth was so close, I could almost taste the panic that was about to hit her face. The laughter in the room hit its peak when one of Mia's so-called friends cracked a dirty joke, and she actually slapped his knee while giggling. My jaw tightened, but I kept my face straight. That was the moment I knew. It was time to pull the trigger. Without a word, I picked up the remote and pressed a button. Instantly, the TV screen behind me lit up, hijacking the room's attention. At first, they thought it was some random video. Then her own text flashed across the screen. Bold, clear, undeniable. "Can't wait to see you tonight after he falls asleep. He's too dumb to notice anyway. Last night was amazing, babe. Same time tomorrow." The room went dead silent. Drinks froze midair. Jaws dropped. And Mia, her smile collapsed into pure terror. She jumped up, rushing toward the TV, fumbling for the remote, stammering, "It's not what it looks like." But before she could touch it, another set of messages popped up. Pictures, late-night calls, even audio clips of her whispering sweet nothings that were meant for someone else. Her friends shifted uncomfortably, realizing they were part of something ugly. One even muttered, "Damn, this is bad." Another tried to laugh it off, but his voice cracked under the weight of the truth staring back at them. Mia turned toward me, her face pale, her voice trembling. "Why are you doing this? We can talk." But I cut her off, calm and steady. "Talk? You laughed at me. You mocked me. You thought I was blind. Tonight, they all see the truth." The silence that followed was brutal. Every eye was on her, no escape, no excuses. She wasn't just caught, she was destroyed, in the very house she thought she controlled. And yet, this was only the beginning of her downfall. Mia's face went all wrong, hot, then cold, like someone had flipped a switch. She started babbling fast, grabbing at her phone, trying to delete messages, but it was too late. Everything was already everywhere. Her friends backed away like they'd been burned. "This is a setup," one of them snapped, trying to save face, but no one bought it. She lunged at me, voice cracking. "Please, stop this. We can fix it. I made a mistake. Don't humiliate me." Her hands shook so badly the ring on her finger caught the light and trembled. I looked at her and felt nothing but a calm, hard clarity. "You didn't make a mistake, Mia. You made choices." She begged the guests. "You all know me. This isn't who I am." A few faces flickered with doubt, but most had already seen the texts and the photos. Her mother's eyes filled with tears, shock written in every line of her face. The room that had laughed minutes ago now watched with stunned silence. Then Mia did something I hadn't expected. She turned to one of her friends and hissed, "Tell them it's fake. Tell them we were joking." He hesitated, then mumbled a weak, "It was a joke." But his voice was thin. People frowned. Jokes don't have audio messages like, "Can't wait to see you tonight." I walked slowly to the middle of the room, letting the awkwardness grow. "You tried to hide behind jokes and late nights," I said. "You thought I wouldn't look. You thought I'd accept being mocked by my own wife." My words landed like stones. Mia's breath hitched. She pleaded with me privately, voice hoarse, "Please don't ruin my life." I held up a hand so everyone could hear. "You already ruined parts of it. I'm only making sure the aftermath is honest." A sudden buzz went through the crowd. Phones chimed again. I had set up one more layer. Everyone had received a short email with a link. It opened to a simple page titled Timeline. It showed dates, times, locations, every meeting, every message, every lie, laid out like proof on a clean sheet of paper. People read, eyes widening as the pattern became undeniable. Mia's face lost color. She whispered, "You monster." I met her eyes. "No, I'm someone who refuses to be fooled." She started to cry uncontrollably, a raw animal sound that filled the room and made some people look away. But others, those who'd once laughed, felt a sharp satisfaction in seeing truth cut through lies. Then I dropped the final nail in the coffin. I stood and said, "And for those who think I'm just punishing her, check the group chat." A notification pinged. It was a message sent to a wider circle. Screenshots of her admitting everything, tagged with dates and locations. The reaction was instant. Murmurs, shocked looks, and the slow, unmistakable shift of allies disappearing. Mia sank into a chair, utterly broken. Her friends whispered apologies to the floor. Her mother covered her face. The scene I'd created wasn't cruel for cruelty's sake. It was the end of a long deception. As people began to leave in small clumps, talking and looking back, Mia realized she had not only lost privacy, she had lost the audience that colored her life. And now the real consequences would follow. The room felt heavy after everyone saw the timeline and group chat. People started leaving in awkward silence, some shaking their heads, some whispering under their breath. The same people who once praised Mia now looked at her with disgust. She tried to reach out to her closest friend, but the woman pulled her hand away, muttering, "You lied to all of us too." That hit her harder than any insult. As the last guest trickled out, Mia turned to me, eyes swollen from crying, voice low. "You've destroyed me. What do you want from me now?" Her words trembled, but my silence scared her more than shouting ever could. I finally spoke, calm and precise. "What I want, justice. What I've already done tonight is just the beginning." Her lip quivered, confusion mixing with fear. Then I pulled a folder from the cabinet. Documents, printed bank statements, and screenshots of her secret expenses. Thousands of dollars wasted on hotel rooms, gifts, even paying for rides to meet her lovers. Her mouth fell open. You went through my accounts?" "Yes," I said firmly. "While you were busy texting them, I was busy protecting myself. Every dollar you stole from our family, every secret payment, it's all here. And guess what? The lawyer has copies." Her face drained completely. She knew what that meant. No way to twist the story, no way to claim innocence in court. She fell to her knees, sobbing, clutching at my leg. "Please don't take everything. I can change. I'll fix this. Just give me one more chance." But there was no sincerity left in her voice. It was pure panic, the realization that she was cornered. I leaned down just enough for her to hear me. "You mocked me. You disrespected me. You lied in my own home at my own table. And now, Mia, you're going to face the cost of every choice you made." Her sobs filled the house, echoing against the walls that once held her laughter. The neighbors had seen the chaos, the guests had carried the story, and soon the world outside those walls would know the truth too. As I walked away, leaving her collapsed on the floor, I realized this wasn't just revenge anymore. This was closure, the final step in breaking the chains she thought she had wrapped around me, and the next step, making sure her betrayal followed her into every corner of her new, shattered life. The next morning, I served her with papers while the house still smelled of last night's wine. Her hands trembled as she read: divorce, account freezes, and a demand for repayment of the secret expenses she'd hidden. She looked up, eyes wild, as if this whole thing might still be a bad dream. It wasn't, it was real, and I had made it so. Her phone buzzed non-stop. Emails from her boss asked for explanations about missed work and strange charges. Her so-called friends stopped by to check in and left without a word. One by one, the people who once laughed with her turned away. She had spent years burning bridges. Now she watched them burn. I had already spoken to the bank. Joint cards were cut, accounts split, and the transfers she'd made were flagged for investigation. She had thought money could buy secrecy. It couldn't buy loyalty or a clean escape. At the same time, I filed for custody of the family pet we'd both spoiled. It was a small move, but symbolic. I wanted to show that life would continue, and that I could protect what mattered without her. The judge scheduled hearings. Mia realized the legal wheels were turning, and panic replaced her bravado. Her mother called, begging for mercy. Her voice cracked when I told her I had proof and that I wouldn't be bullied into silence. "You chose this," I said calmly. "You chose to hide it." The line went dead. Word reached her workplace. Her manager emailed me asking for copies of the evidence. HR opened an inquiry. When her projects started disappearing from her calendar, she finally understood. Consequences follow choices. She tried to bargain, apologies, promises, dramatic confessions at my feet. I listened with an empty heart. Forgiveness wasn't part of this plan. I wanted accountability, not theatrics. Then came the twist she never saw. I had quietly arranged a legal agreement that protected my assets completely. No contest, no surprise. Her name was nowhere on the deeds or business accounts I'd built. The prenup I'd signed years ago was ironclad. She had nothing to claim. Neighbors watched as moving boxes appeared at her door. Her social circle evaporated. Invites stopped, messages went unread. The life she flaunted unstitched itself thread by thread. The same people who once envied her now pitied her or whispered about her downfall. A week later, she received a formal notice from the company that had partnered with one of her secret lovers. They were ending collaboration after learning about his behavior. His name and hers were on internal memos that made headlines in our small town. The scandal followed them both. I walked into my office that morning lighter than I'd felt in years. No gloating, no revenge dance, just a quiet satisfaction that truth had won. My phone rang with client calls, contracts to sign, and offers I'd been waiting on for months. Life moved forward, the right way. When we finally met to sign the last papers, Mia looked broken but also strangely small, like a character reduced to a single bad scene. She mouthed, "I'm sorry," and I gave her the only honest reply I had left. "You chose your path. Live with it." I left the courthouse alone, but not lonely. The weight of pretending was gone. People stopped me in the street. Some offered support, others congratulated me for standing up. That felt real. That felt earned. At night, I slept without the knot of doubt in my chest. My future wasn't built on lies. It was steady, slow, and mine. The final twist? While she scrambled to rebuild a shattered life, I used the silence she left behind to build something better. Freedom, trust with those who deserved it, and a life I no longer had to defend. Revenge had never been about breaking her. It was about reclaiming myself. And in that quiet reclaiming, I found peace that no humiliation could ever take away.